This is the Focus Shift podcast, your best listening experience for creating your best online business. We'll focus on topics that help you get discovered. So sit back, listen, take notes if you like, and get excited about growing your business.
Imagine walking into a world-class restaurant. The master chef in the back has just spent the last 3 hours perfectly searing this incredible dry-aged steak.
Oh, wow.
Right. They've rested it, they plated it with absolute precision, garnished it beautifully, and then just as the waiter is about to bring it to your table so you can finally taste it, the manager intercepts them.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the manager turns to the chef and says, all right, great job on the steak. Now go into the back office, sit at a laptop, and write a 10-page essay explaining exactly what this steak tastes like, and, make sure it ranks on Google.
That is, you would think that manager has completely lost their mind.
Exactly. You'd say, just let me eat the food. The chef is a cook, not a novelist.
It fundamentally defeats the purpose of the chef's actual skill set.
Mm-hmm.
You are asking a master of one highly specific sensory experience to suddenly, just without warning, become a master of a completely different, highly analytical medium.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're taking that exact feeling, that jarring, almost unfair demand to switch gears, and exploring it through a very specific lens.
Yeah, today we are unpacking a really insightful piece of writing about why professional photographers absolutely despise blogging.
They really hate it. And our mission for you, the listener, is to examine this dynamic. Because as we dig into the psychology here, you're going to see how perfectly this captures the universal struggle of being forced out of your own strength zone.
Right.
We're going to explore why avoiding these types of tasks isn't just a matter of laziness, but rather, it's a profound cognitive clash.
The cognitive friction is really the core issue here. When we look at the material we're analyzing today, it zeroes in on the psychological shift required to move from creating an image to writing a paragraph.
Yeah.
Photography is an inherently visual medium. It's deeply rooted in instinct,
Yeah.
You're reacting to light, predicting human movement, capturing emotion in real time. It's very fluid. But blogging, on the other hand, is entirely verbal. It requires linear structure, deliberate pacing, and explicit explanation.
I want to challenge that slightly, though, because when I think about a great photographer, they are essentially telling a story with their lens, right?
Sure, absolutely.
They're composing a narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So shouldn't those storytelling muscles just naturally translate over to a keyboard? Why is that barrier so impenetrable for them?
Well, it's a fair question, but it assumes all storytelling uses the same neural pathways, which, it just isn't true.
Okay.
Visual storytelling is implicit. A viewer can look at a photograph of, say, a crying father at a wedding and instantly, in a fraction of a second, feel the weight of that moment.
Yeah, you just get it.
Right. The photographer didn't have to explain it, they just had to frame it. Written storytelling, though, is explicit.
You have to spell it out.
Exactly. You have to actively construct the context, choose the verbs, paste the sentences to recreate that feeling artificially. The material we're looking at uses this brilliant metaphor for this abrupt shift. It compares it to going from sprinting full speed to suddenly having to solve a complex math problem mid-race.
Sprints to math problems. Wow. That captures the whiplash perfectly. Your heart is pounding. You're in this beautiful flow state, catching the golden hour light, and then someone basically hands you a clipboard and says, calculate this.
Precisely. And we have to look at the biological reality of that flow state. Operating visually and instinctively requires vastly different cognitive energy than sitting down to logically structure a narrative for a search engine.
Oh, for sure.
Forcing the brain to violently change gears like that, it consumes a massive amount of mental bandwidth. And crucially, we have to consider the state the creator is in when they finally sit down to write. They aren't starting with a fresh, fully charged battery.
No, their battery is completely drained.
Yeah.
And this is a major point of friction that the source highlights. It pushes back hard on the outside perception that these creators just, that they don't want to do the hard work.
Right, the laziness myth.
Exactly. Look at the physical and mental toll of what they've already accomplished before they even open a blank document. They've likely just finished a physically grueling shoot. They're carrying heavy gear, managing chaotic family dynamics, constantly reading the room.
Which is exhausting on its own.
And then they sit at a computer for hours, culling through literally thousands of images.
The culling process alone is a masterclass in decision fatigue.
Oh, I can't even
You're
imagine.
making micro judgments on thousands of slightly different expressions just to find the one perfect smile. It completely drains the brain's executive function.
And then add in color grading, editing, delivering galleries, managing client emails. I mean, anyone who can do all of that clearly possesses massive stamina. So the exhaustion we are talking about isn't a lack of work ethic at all. It is strictly about the nature of the task itself. But, and this is what's interesting, why does verbalizing a visual medium feel like such an empty chore? Because it seems like the creators view blogging not just as hard work, but as actively meaningless, busy work.
Well, it comes down to the mechanics of the creative payoff. Let's think about how a visual artist experiences a reward. When an artist edits a photo, they manipulate the shadows, they enhance the warmth of the sunset, and boom, they get an immediate rush of dopamine.
Oh, right, because they can see it instantly.
Yes, they see the beauty they've uncovered right away. There's a tangible, fast-acting reward for their effort. Blogging, though, offers absolutely zero immediate creative payoff for someone whose primary language is visual.
It just feels like paperwork.
It feels purely administrative. When a highly creative person is faced with an administrative task that drains their energy without replenishing their creative well, it triggers a defensive response.
So they just avoid it.
Exactly. The task gets pushed to the bottom of the to-do list, it gets perpetually delayed, and eventually it becomes an object of quiet resentment.
Quiet resentment. I know that feeling so well. It's like, it's the elephant in the room that you just keep stepping around every single day.
We all have one.
Yeah. But let's imagine our photographer pushes through that exhaustion. They overcome the decision fatigue. They force the cognitive gear shift. And they finally sit down at the laptop.
Okay, they're at the keyboard.
They open the blogging platform. They stare at the blinking cursor. And then they hit an entirely new psychological wall. The text identifies this as arguably the biggest blocker of all. It's a deeply crippling pressure, the paralysis of, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, this is where the medium shift goes from being merely exhausting to actively destructive.
Wow.
This perfection paralysis stems from a fundamental identity misalignment. You see, photographers view themselves as creators of high art. Because their images are breathtaking and flawless, they subconsciously internalize the idea that their accompanying words must also be breathtaking and flawless.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
They believe that a simple blog post requires them to be profound, to write these deeply poetic reflections on love and light, while simultaneously crafting a structural masterpiece that satisfies Google's search algorithms.
They're essentially demanding that they win a Pulitzer Prize for literature while simultaneously coding a perfect SEO trap, which is insane.
It's an impossible standard.
But why do they put that pressure on themselves? If they know they are primarily visual artists, why not just give themselves permission to be, average writers?
Because average feels like a betrayal of their brand.
A betrayal, wow.
Think about it. If you have built your entire reputation on aesthetic perfection, releasing something average into the world feels incredibly dangerous. The brain interprets a clunky sentence as a literal threat to their professional identity.
That is so intense.
It is, but the reality check provided in the material we are discussing is stark. And honestly, it should be wildly liberating for anyone listening who struggles with this kind of perfectionism. The hard truth is, clients do not want a literary masterpiece.
They really don't. The analysis breaks it down to a delightfully simple formula. There are exactly 3 things a prospective client actually cares about when they are reading a photographer's blog.
Just 3.
Yep. 1, what was the experience like? 2, what can they expect if they hire you? And 3, can they see themselves in your work? That is the entire list.
Right.
They aren't looking for Shakespearean sonnets about the dew on the grass. They are looking for basic human reassurance.
Reassurance, context, and a sense of safety. When creators are trapped in that perfection paralysis, they're actually making the work entirely about themselves.
Oh, that's a good point.
It becomes a reflection of their ego and their fear of being judged for their prose. But the audience, the potential client, is approaching the blog from a deeply utilitarian perspective.
They just want answers.
Exactly. They're looking at a photo of a couple laughing on a mountaintop and asking a very selfish, practical question. If I stand on that mountain, will you make me look that good? And will we actually have fun, or will it be super awkward?
Right. Will you make me feel comfortable is the real subtext there. But let's say our creator actually internalizes this. They get over the writer's block, they accept that they don't need to be poetic, and they decide to just answer those basic questions.
Progress.
Right, progress. But then they were immediately ambushed by yet another psychological trap. And I hear this from creators in every field, not just photography. It's the illusion of redundancy.
Oh, yes.
They think, haven't I already done this? I posted a reel of this exact session to Instagram yesterday. I put 50 photos on Facebook. Why am I wasting my time writing a blog post about it? I'm just repeating myself to the exact same audience.
It is an incredibly logical trap to fall into, especially given how our modern digital ecosystem conditions us. I mean, social media dominates our daily attention span, so we naturally equate a social media post with publishing our work.
Right. You hit post, it's out there.
But we have to make a vital distinction between fleeting content and evergreen content. Yes, you posted it on a social platform, but the lifespan of that content is effectively measured in hours.
It's so short.
It is rapidly pushed down the algorithmic feed, buried under millions of other posts, and essentially disappears into the digital void.
I always think of social media like setting off a firework. You launch an Instagram reel, and for about 10 seconds, it's bright, it's loud, everyone looks up and goes, ooh, ah, and they hit the like button.
That's a great way to put it.
But then it fades, the smoke clears, and it's gone forever. You can't capture that firework again. But writing a blog post, that is like planting an apple orchard.
Oh, I like that.
It is grueling work today. Nobody's cheering for you while you're digging holes in the dirt. But years from now, that orchard is still standing there, reliably bearing fruit season after season.
That is an excellent way to visualize it. Social media is rented, highly volatile space. A blog is an owned asset on your own digital real estate. The insight here is that a blog post compounds in value over time. That one specific session, maybe a rainy day shoot at a downtown venue, that the creator almost didn't blog because they were exhausted. That could be the exact highly specific thing a stressed out client searches for on Google 2 years from now.
But this brings us to the cruelest joke of all, and it's the hurdle that breaks most people's resolve. The lack of immediate dopamine.
It's a silence.
The silence. Think about it. You do the grueling work. You shift cognitive gears. You swallow your pride and push past the perfectionism. You plant the orchard. You finally hit publish on your website, and nothing happens.
Crickets.
The silence is deafening. No comments flood in, no inquiries ping your inbox, your analytics don't spike, you don't get that instantaneous, warm rush of validation that you get when a firework goes off on Instagram and racks up 100 likes in 10 minutes.
Neurologically, we have been completely rewired by social media to crave and expect that immediate feedback loop.
We really have.
When you perform a difficult task, hit publish, and hear absolute silence, your brain interprets that lack of feedback. It requires a massive fundamental paradigm shift. A creator has to stop viewing the blog post as a stage performance that requires an immediate standing ovation and start viewing it as a single brick in the foundation of a house.
Right.
Laying one brick doesn't look like much, and absolutely no one is going to stop on the street to applaud you for doing it. But if you quietly lay a brick every week, over time, you build an undeniable weatherproof structure that generates its own gravity.
Okay, so we've mapped out the psychological minefield here. We see the exhaustion of the medium shift from visual to verbal. We see the identity crisis of perfection paralysis, the logical fallacy of the redundancy trap, and of course, the neurological starvation of delayed dopamine.
It's a lot to overcome.
It is a lot. And we also clearly see the stakes. If you refuse to navigate this minefield, you are leaving massive visibility, client trust, and actual revenue on the table. So how do we actually fix this? How does a creator fundamentally reframe this dreaded task so that it actually gets crossed off the to-do list?
The solution offered is intensely pragmatic. It asks the creator to answer one simple question. Is this task worth it?
And the answer is?
The answer is a resounding yes, but absolutely not in the way most people are currently attempting it. The breakthrough happens when the creator completely divorces the act of blogging from their identity as a fine artist.
Okay, so separating the art from the task.
Yes. You must mentally recategorize the task. It's a marketing asset, full stop. It is not a creative masterpiece.
And this leads to what I think is the most fascinating irony of this whole discussion. I really want you, the listener, to lean in here, because this applies to so much more than just photography. The new rules of engagement outlined for this task are simple. Write like you talk. Keep it brief, and focus on delivering just one useful tip or story per post.
Keep it simple.
But the incredible irony is that in order to actually succeed at this task, the artist has to intentionally lower their artistic standards for the writing.
Yeah.
They have to actively, purposefully embrace being conversational, casual, and somewhat imperfect.
It is a deliberate humbling of the ego. which, let's be honest, is incredibly difficult for high achievers.
Oh, absolutely.
But by lowering the artificial literary standard of the writing, you are simultaneously elevating the actual effectiveness of the communication. When you give yourself permission to write like you talk, you eliminate the cognitive friction.
You're not fighting yourself anymore.
Exactly. You are no longer forcing your brain to solve a math problem mid-sprint. You are just casually chatting with a friend at the finish line, explaining what the race felt like.
You're trading poetry for utility, and that is where we find this ultimate golden rule of the internet age. Done is better than perfect.
Always.
Because when you look at the creators who are actually winning the long game, the ones dominating local search results, booking the high-end clients, building sustainable businesses, they are almost never the best writers. They aren't the ones agonizing over adjectives to describe the golden hour light.
No, they are simply the ones who hit publish. They are the professionals who understand that a published, imperfect conversational post is infinitely more valuable to their business than a flawless poetic essay that lives forever in a hidden drafts folder.
Right. A draft doesn't help anyone.
Never. They recognize that the goal of the task isn't to win a Pulitzer. The goal is to show their beautiful visual work in a practical context, answer real questions that nervous clients have, and create a permanent pathway for people to find them without relying on the exhausting, unpredictable hamster wheel of social media algorithms.
If you've been avoiding a task like this, the insights we're exploring today offer a lot of grace. Like, you aren't broken, and your avoidance isn't a moral failing or a sign of laziness. The friction you feel when switching cognitive gears is scientifically real and deeply valid.
It is valid, but ignoring it completely is still a choice that actively harms your long-term goals. The takeaway isn't that you have to suddenly fall in love with the task. You just have to strip away the emotional baggage and use it strictly as the practical tool it was designed to be.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to turn this directly to you listening right now. Even if you have never picked up a professional camera or cared about golden hour lighting, you almost certainly have a blogging task in your life.
We all do.
Think about it. What is the blogging in your own career? What is that vital, necessary, long-game task that you're constantly pushing to the bottom of your to-do list? The one you quietly resent simply because it yanks you out of your intuitive strength zone.
For some, it might be updating a professional resume or a LinkedIn profile. For a software engineer, it might be writing the plain English documentation for a brilliant piece of code they just spent weeks building.
Oh, engineers hate documentation.
They really do. Or for a salesperson, it might be inputting the mundane CRM data after crushing a dynamic, high-energy client pitch.
Identifying that specific task and recognizing that your deep resistance to it is just medium shift friction, not a personal flaw, is the first step to finally conquering it. But I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over, building on everything we've just discussed. We talked about how clients ultimately just want to know what the experience is like, and they want to feel safe seeing themselves in the work. So consider this. What if the imperfection of the writing is actually the exact mechanism that builds that safety?
That is a profound shift in perspective. We are deeply conditioned to assume that high polish equals high professionalism, but we live in a world overflowing with highly curated, flawless, AI-generated content.
Right, everywhere you look.
In that environment, raw, stumbling authenticity is becoming incredibly rare and therefore highly valued.
Exactly. What if a highly polished, grammatically flawless, intensely poetic essay would actually make the creator seem less approachable? If a client is already nervous about feeling awkward or unphotogenic, encountering a hyper-perfect persona might actually intimidate them?
It creates a wall.
Yes. What if your messy, casual, conversational truth, just writing exactly the way you speak, is the precise signal they need to hear to feel safe with you? Because at the end of the day, no one really wants to read a 10-page essay about a steak. They just want to know if they are welcome at your table and if the food is going to be good. Catch you on the next deep dive.
The Focus Shift podcast is presented by PhotoBiz, the best website solution for photographers. Whether you're launching your site or scaling your online business, PhotoBiz has your back. To get started for free, visit photobiz.com today.